Hey everybody, I'm Videobob, and the last video I did on my Prevost bus was a huge success. People loved it. Reportedly, 2020 was one of the highest selling years of RVs of all time. Well, you know, with the crazy world we're living in right now, people just wanted to, maybe they just wanted to get out of the house, or maybe they sold their house and moved into an RV. And the video was all about the fact that, in my opinion, the best thing you can do is to use depreciation as a tool to work for you. And I think it's way better to buy a 30-year-old Prevost tour bus than it is to buy a brand new RV. Now, I'm sad to report that this bus has been sold. This is my baby, my pride and joy. I had it for about 5 or 6 years now, but I accepted a cash offer of $100,000 for this bus. More than I paid for it, by the way, back in 2016. Now, this is exactly my point. This is how you use depreciation to work for you. If I had bought a brand new RV for $100,000 in 2016, how much do you think I'd be selling it for now? Probably about half. And what condition would it be in after driving it all over the country and staying in it? Probably not very good. But a 30-year-old 1990 Prevost XL like this, that's made of stainless steel that's riveted together, is still solid as a rock. And you can update these quite easily. They have solid floor plans, and they're just made so well that you can gut them, redo them, and make it as modern as you want. And when we go inside, we're going to show you that. I decided to make this video because I was going to make a video for the new owner to show him all the quirks and features of the bus, because no two of these are alike. Now, Prevost, the company that makes the actual coach itself, the bus itself will be the same. But what they do is they send it off to a coach builder. In this case, it was made by Angola. And Angola put in all the, electrical, the interior, all the different things. And I thought, since my other video was so popular, I think people are just fascinated with these buses. So I'm going to show the new owner exactly how everything works, and you can watch along and enjoy seeing what one of these buses is really like. So keep in mind, as you're watching the video, I'm speaking to the new owner, Brian, who bought the bus, but you're just kind of watching to see what it's like. Now again, no two buses are alike. Even if you found another Angola bus, it's not going to be exactly the same as this one. So keep that in mind. But this is an example of the kind of rig you can get and what you can expect to pay. Now, you can find other examples of these buses for around $75, $85, $95, or up to $125. Just depends on how they're configured and what's in them. And that's why there really is no book value. There is no way to figure out what a bus is worth. Each particular one is worth what you can get for it, based on how it's configured and the tastes and liking of the person buying it. So let's start with the tour of the bus. Let's get going. Okay, we're going to start with the outside. Obviously, on this particular coach, the very first bay door is storage. I'm going to show you how to open the door. This is the handle that unlocks it. You'll see this bar here. That's what you're supposed to grab to open the door. It has 2 gas struts that'll help lift it. Now you can see that this is a full pass-through, goes all the way through the other side. These 2 things here, these 2 big boxes, those are 3,000 watt inverters. So there's 2 of those for a total of 6,000 watts of power. And that'll run all the stuff that's plugged in inside, the microwave, the refrigerator, that kind of thing, but it will not run the top air conditioners that are on top. So if you're in a mild or neutral climate, or even in the cold, and we'll talk about that here in a minute, you can run on just your batteries, of which I'll show you where those are. There's 4 large 8D batteries that are on the other side, and those are charged electrically by a charger in the back, which I'll show you later. This is just a pass-through storage. On the other side of this is the generator. Now, I did a complete video about this generator that you can find here on my channel. And we talked about how we rebuilt this thing not too long ago and actually changed out the entire generator head. But what you've got here is a 4-cylinder diesel Yanmar motor. They're used in a lot of ditch witches John Deere applications. You can buy the generator head for a couple $1,000. I upgraded this one from 12,000 to I want to say 17,000 watts. And what we did is we just put a regular residential electrical breaker panel on there with, I think, a 60 amp plug on there. And then literally the bus just plugs into it, right? It's not even hardwired. There's a plug there. You could unplug the bus and hook an extension cord up and plug it up some other way, but we're going to show you how it plugs in. But the generator is pretty simple. And actually I haven't, hand to God, I have not started this generator in probably 4 or 5 months. So there is a, let me check that. Oh, it's got lots of oil. So let's give it a start. Look at that. That's a fuel injected unit. These generators are used on industrial equipment. Same kind of generator you find maybe on one of those trailers with the lights on it, or on the generators that run oil rigs and pumps and things. They're meant to run for thousands and thousands and thousands of hours. You can rebuild them easily, and I change the oil in it every couple of hundred hours. And when I go out on a trip, I change the oil, I start it up, and then I don't turn it off till I get back. And that can be as long as 2 weeks. I just check the oil, make sure it's good, check the oil pressure, make sure it's good. As long as those are good and it's staying cool, that's all that matters. Now, how this thing stays cool is, I can't show it to you because it's hidden. There's a radiator that's flat underneath here that's facing the ground. And on top of that is a squirrel cage that's running just like an air handler would be in your house, and that cools off the radiator. Also, the water that runs through this to cool it runs to, past the heating area here to the this other bay. Let me show you that real quick. Let me turn this generator off. It's loud with the door open, but with the door closed, it's actually pretty quiet. It also sits on airbags to help keep it from vibrating. This entire tray pulls out. You can just unlock these different things. I don't want to do it now because I don't have my gloves on, because it's kind of oily. But you undo these 2 latches, and there's a drawer, and it pulls out so that you can access it. Now let me show you this water bay. Behind this door is part of the heating and air conditioning. You're not going to need to access this. This is going to be for a professional bus person to get into. But basically, on this side you have a heat module. On the other side you have air conditioner condenser. In between the two is the fuel tank, which is 250 gallons, by the way. You access the fuel tank on the other side. This is what we call in the industry the water bay. Now, not too long ago, we replaced this water heater. This is a marine water heater, and it has extra pipes because it is a heat exchanger. The heat from the bus and the generator, it runs through a heating element, and when the generator's not running or the engine's not running, it heats electrically. But when the generator's running or the engine's running, it heats through the coolant, which makes it very hot. I mean, when the water comes out of there, it's 200 degrees, it'll burn you, okay? So, warning you, be careful with the hot water. We have 2 separate water filters for the water. I think we hold 150 fresh gallons of water. And then you also have a manually operated release valve here for releasing either or both the gray water and black water. Gray water is just the hand washing water, shower water. Black water is the poo. You can separate those two if you like. Now this has 2 separate dumps. There's one on this side because traditionally this is the side it's on when you hook up to the sewer when you go to a campsite. There's also a drop on the other side that's operated from inside the vehicle. You flip a switch and it washes right out the back. You may have heard a famous story about the Dave Matthews Band bus dumping their poo on a bridge and it went out on the people below. That's how they did it. There's a release on the other side, and that doesn't come with every bus. This is a special order item, but it's really great. You can pull over to the side of the road, read the map, flip the switch, dump your poo. You're not supposed to do that. It's illegal, but hey, you could do it if you wanted to. Anyway, you got paper towel holders, soap, everything. You really don't need to get in here too much except for when you're hooking up your water, which is right under here. Just hook up a water hose to that. And I have a collection of different tools and adapters for hooking up your hoses and all those things, which are all here. You have a water hose. Usually when you go to like a Love's truck stop or a Flying J, they usually have a water spigot nearby, and you can fill up your fresh water while you're filling up. And you really don't ever have to worry about dumping it, because if you're not using the toilet, you can legally dump gray water. They just don't want you dumping the black water. So that's why there's this bypass here. You have that pulled out. It doesn't allow you to dump your black water, but it will dump the gray. There's also a little shower here just for hosing off your, you know, if you're working on your sewer. And let me see here how this goes. There you go. It's a little, just for cleaning up your area, washing your hands, that kind of thing. This is just a regular shower head that I got, and I just put in here. But you could actually hook up a regular faucet to this, which I've done to the other side, and I actually use a pressure washer in here. So that's pretty much this side of the bus. You really don't have to worry about this other access over here. It just accesses the radiator, and you're never going to get to that anyway. Each of these are individually locked. That's a much better system than the way a lot of RVs, you know, they lift up and you're ducking under it, or it swings out. This is how the Greyhound buses do it. Working our way around. This is the engine bay. Let me go ahead and open this up. And I don't know if you could see this on camera, but there are detailed schematics of how everything works. There's a big box under here with access to all the electrical stuff that's happening back here. You're not going to want to mess with this unless you really know what you're doing, and you probably don't. But things you're going to have to check yourself that you need to check every time you fill up. This is your power steering fluid. This often leaks. It uses regular automatic transmission fluid. You're going to want to fill that up all the time. You're always going to want to check your belts. Here's a little thing for checking your oil. What's really cool is there's this little valve up here. You can't see it, but there's a valve. Up in this little box here is I think a 3-gallon oil tank. And you can add oil. That's what this hose is. Whenever you stop, you know, because these things burn oil and they leak oil, because that's what they do. It's normal. Well, you can check your oil and add a little every time you stop to fill up. You should do that every time. Check your belts. Make sure your tension is good. Now, this is an automatic tensioning belt, which has this, you know, air-powered hydraulic that automatically tensions. But this is the Detroit Diesel 92 series turbo. And it's a pretty reliable motor. I mean, these things go for a long, long time. They really do. Oh, this is what I was going to show you. Almost forgot. Right back here is a little switch that you can flip, and you can operate the bus. That's designed so that while you're working back here, if you want to build up and check your oil pressure and your water, which is all listed right there, you don't have to walk 40 feet all the way to the front, crawl inside, turn the key, all that other. You can press the button. However, it won't allow you to drive. It only starts the engine, but does not activate the computer up front, which allows you to shift. Now, if you have the key on, it will, but that's what that's for. So you want to keep this locked up. But if you're in a situation, you can always start the engine from back here. I wanted to bring this up for the new owner and anyone else who has one of the Detroit Diesel 8V92 series motors. Anything before the newer style 60 motors uses this particular oil, Delo 100. It's a straight 40 weight, a low ash oil. You can custom order it from O'Reilly's or maybe whatever your auto parts store is. But do not put any other oil other than this in. Now, you can add supplements, you know, if you want to put in a gallon of Lucas in there with it or some other additives. But what's really important is that you use this straight 40 low ash oil. Don't use regular 1540 in your bus. We've always used the proper fluid in this thing. So You can go 10 or 15,000 miles changing the oil. I prefer to change it every about 5,000 miles because I always use this thing in the heat of Texas, traveling back and forth between Dallas and Las Vegas, usually through the desert, and usually pulling a trailer. So I like to change the oil more often. And all the Detroit diesel guys tell me that I'm just wasting oil. Well, I like to take care of the engine. So just wanted to point this out to you. It's very important that this is the only oil that you use. This is the battery and air filter compartment. This thing is an air filter. This whole thing comes out. It's a big, huge thing. Ow. Hold on a second. There we go. I put this fire extinguisher here, but that's not necessarily where it goes, but I thought it was a good idea. You have your main cutoff here. You also have a 12-volt cutoff. This thing has two separate battery systems, okay? There are 4 batteries in here, and right up above, what you can't see, is the charger that's plugged into itself, right? Which works by AC when it's plugged into the wall. These 4 batteries are what start the coach, start the engine. And then it's kind of separated through, I forget what the name of the device is called. I'm sure somebody will put it in the comments, but there's a little splitter that separates the 24-volt system from the 12-volt system. And it's an isolator. What? Anyway, that's how this is where the batteries are for the engine, for the things that run the whole rig. Emergency cutoff, relays. Probably won't need to get back here much. But if you ever do, check out my other videos on the Videobob and RV bus channel for the jump starter video that I did. Napa sells a 24-volt jump starter that will jump start this bus. Buy it, own it, carry it with you. Here on the wall, we put this 50-amp plug that's gone right through, right into our main box. And we built this little shelter for it. Now, this particular rig uses a 220-volt twist snap lock. I forget what the actual name of this thing is. I'm sure somebody would tell me in the comments. But this is the plug, and this is how you plug it in. Now, when you go to a campsite, you're going to have to use some adapters, which I'll show you later. And I'm going to show you something really cool about this rig that only the high-end buses have. All right, now this is just cool. This is a hose reel that's actually under the bed, and it's electronically operated. You can feed it in or out. So you can reel up this whole thing. It coils itself up under the bed, and then this little thing comes down and seals it, right? That's awesome. I mean, come on, that's awesome. Here is your fuel filler cap. Inconveniently on the right side. Most big diesel trucks put it on the driver's side. For whatever reason, they put it on this side. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to pull into a diesel commercial truck fuel island, and then you're going to have to go over to the driver's side pump, turn it on, and then throw it on the ground, and then come around and use the satellite pump and turn that on, and that's how you have to fill up. It's a pain in the ass. I don't know why it's that way. It's what you got to do. Just saying. Inside this bay here is a storage bay. There's a little drawer here for putting stuff in. There's a slot here that I put a collapsible ladder into. You just have some drawers to keep things in, cleaning supplies, whatever you want. And you have this cool little faucet here for cleaning up. Let me see. Which way does it go? It goes this way. Water. Look at that. And there's a switch here that says the sewage drop is under this thing. You can't see it, but you can manually operate it here if you like. And what's cool about this is it has a regular garden hose attachment on there. So when if I'm at a campground or somewhere where I don't have direct hooked up to water, I can bring my own pressure washer and I can wash the bus with my own water. Isn't that nice and clean? Now, we're going to talk about the auxiliary heating system. You'll see this little hole here. There are miniature diesel heaters. I think there's 3 of them in the bus. Now, I don't use them. I use the electric heaters, but it has them. They're not the Wabostos. They're a different brand. I forgot what they're called, but it's the same concept. They run by diesel fuel and they can heat the bus. Unless you live in a really, really cold climate, you are not going to want to use those. Besides which, they smell like diesel when they're on. Don't use them. Again, this area is part of the bus air conditioning system, and in between that is the fuel tank. You're not going to want to get in there. You're not going to need to. This is yet another type of storage bay. And then you'll see there are 2 of those furnace heaters down there. You have an outside plug. You have some various drawers. Now, behind this cabinet here are the 4 coach house batteries. Here we have, I put some extra filters in here, belts. Here's some of those audio adapters. I think that this is electrical adapters. The gas struts in this need to be replaced. This is an adapter that you got to use to go to the end of that so that you can plug into a regular 50 amp power supply if you go to a campsite. Not all campsites have 50 amp. You may have to use a 30 amp. Here's the 30 amp version. Just keep in mind with a 30 amp version, you cannot use all your air conditioners, maybe one of them tops. And then in a worst case scenario, this one adapts to regular 110, which you can plug in just for general maintenance, but you cannot run the air conditioners, or I probably wouldn't use the microwave or anything like that. It just keeps you plugged in and the battery's charged. This is for worst case scenarios, for just general plugging it in maintenance. This is the other side of that pass-through, but I'm showing it to you because they put this cool little drawer system here with various parts, and there's a filter and just different things, and these pull way out. Yeah, belts. So there's extra particular bus parts. Like I said, you can go all the way through there. It's a pretty cool little thing. There's some electrical plugs in there, 12-volt plugs. Lots of space. You can move in there. You can move an entire family in there. Up above are some Zip-D awnings. In this video, I am not going to demonstrate them because there are lots of videos out there on how they operate. You probably won't ever use these. I don't know. I used them once. They're a tremendous pain in the ass. You're going to want to have somebody to help you put these out. You have to use a rod to pull the thing down, and they're a pain in the ass. Just warning you. But they're here. I'm not going to do it. Sorry. I did an entire video about this custom doorbell that I installed. You can find that on Videobob's RV and Bus channel. Just search for Videobob, Prevost, doorbell. I'm sure you'll find it. Now, let's go inside. Door is like a bank vault, as I've mentioned before. Well, we're inside. Now, this thing's been updated. It's had this cool black marble tile floor put in. I bought these cool chairs from a place. These were about $500 a piece. The couch has been recovered. We've covered up these 2 windows here and built this custom TV unit. This is a, what is it, a 60-inch television by Vizio. You can operate it by remote or through a smartphone. There's also another one in the bedroom. We'll show you that one in a second. Inside these drawers, you've got important information. This bottom drawer is all the files and all the manuals to everything on this bus. Very important. This thing pulls out into a bed, but it's not very convenient because it goes all the way out to here and then you can't pass by, so just sleep on the couch. It's comfortable. Air conditioners are up above, and there's a controller for the front air conditioner there, controller for another air conditioner over there by the kitchen. They're pretty obvious. The screen up here replaced the old tube TV that used to be here, and there's actually a security system, but right now it's not working and it needs to be repaired, but not an expensive repair, but I can't show it to you. Let me show you this fuse panel and a little bit up front before we move to the back. Let's talk about this breaker panel. Now, it's conveniently located right here. Got a little, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there's a little smoke alarm right there. And this is a camera, part of the security system for inside the bus. You can monitor your batteries here, 12 volts, 13 volts there. Let's see, got 24 volts there. Show you all your different batteries. This is inverter power. got your washer dryer, galley outlets, receptacles, microwave, TV, VCR, this kind of stuff. That's all run on the inverter. So those are AC, but run from the inverter, which is powered from the batteries, which is charged from the charger, which is plugged into the wall. AC power. These two rows are showing AC power. The battery charger I just talked about. Air conditioner 2, and the heater, and refrigerator, inverter, and another heater, and trash compactor, and all that kind of stuff. Then way over here you got your DC power, load groups, you know, different DC powers, the toilet, panel lights and things. You can also operate the generator from here. You lift this up to start, press it down to stop. It does have a glow plug preheat, so you hold that down for a few seconds. Let's see, which way does it go? Goes down, and then hit start. And it started. You probably can't hear it because it's so quiet. You might hear a little rumble. The generator's way up here, right under that chair. When you're way back there in the bedroom, you're not gonna, I mean, there might be there's a nice lull, a nice hum. I find it calming actually. But anyway, then you can turn it off. It's got an automatic switching. There's 2 contactors. Whenever it's plugged into the wall, that automatically overrides the generator. When you unplug it from the wall, it releases those and switches to generator power. That's how it works. In here is your Bose Acoustimass system. For the TV, got a pretty kick-ass stereo system in here. Underneath the booth over there, the breakfast booth, or whatever you want to call that, the diner booth, is the actual power module and the subwoofer for this thing up under there. And then over in this corner, and I don't know if I can get the camera in there to see it, are the 2 controllers for the inverters. You generally won't have to mess with these, but they're in there. The manuals for the inverters are in the cabinet there, and I don't ever mess with them. I just leave them alone. I always keep the bus plugged in at all times. When it's not on generator. So it always has AC electrical power at all times. That's just how I keep it. There's a little fan up here I don't think I mentioned. Just a little fan blows down on the driver. That's pretty much it. We're here in the kitchen. You know, when I got this thing originally, for some reason all the leather in here was purple. Which I kind of like purple, but I had this entire booth redone in black vinyl. Added these chairs. Did some other upgrades, like installed these stainless steel cup holders in these tables, and over there weren't any cup holders, you know. Also hardwired in, I did an entire video about this, I don't know if you can see in the video, but there's a electrical box right there with USB outlets, and also part of the doorbell system. I forget how you turn this thing on. There we go, it's on. And it's a video doorbell system, and the reason for that is because even though it's right there, this thing is so solid. Somebody knocks on the door, you don't hear it, especially in the back. Even sitting here, somebody knocks on the door and you got all the windows pulled down, you don't even notice. And I've had people banging on the thing and I didn't hear it at all. All the windows are double paned. This thing's like a vault inside. One of the things you'll notice about this rig is it's an industrial gray color. That's pretty rare to find. Somebody custom ordered this way. Generally, you're going to find these things, they're pink, they're blue, they got like carpet, they got flower print all over. You know what the 90s look like, pastel colors. This gray and black theme is very contemporary and modern, and quite frankly is one of the best looking designs I've ever seen in a bus. And when I saw it, I fell in love with it. And I think that it's one of the things that even 30 years later keeps this thing looking new. Basically, you just got, you know, you got tons of kitchen stuff here. You got a full working sink and all that kind of stuff. Let me show you a little bit more of how that works. Light switches are right under here. You've got a cover for the sink. This comes off. This is all made of the same corian. You have a full sink. Matter of fact, I need to wash my hands from touching the dirty outside of this thing. You also have a sprayer. Water pressure is really good. You know, I know in my last video I was talking about the water pressure, and I tried to turn on the shower in there, and it was not that impressive. People commented it was because I didn't give the pump a minute you got to give it a second to pressurize. And when I operated those other things outside, it turned the pump on and pressurized the system. But I assure you, it has fantastic water pressure. And the water is hot, hot, hot. Instantly. Woo! Hot! Hot, hot, hot. Okay. So, a lot of times you see these countertops double as a cutting board, but hey, cutting board. This thing has a trash compactor in it, which I thought was like, oh, yeah, it's so old, right? Trash compactors are awesome, especially in a bus where you don't have that much room. I use it all the time, and it works. You just turn this little dial, and it goes down, and it smushes the stuff. You got little storage compartments here. I don't think I need to explain to you how a storage compartment works, but I don't know if you can see up here. This is a countertop blender by Newtone. This was all the rage back in the day. This thing mounts up here like this, and then I got it turned off. I got to turn it back on. I got to turn the breaker on. Anyway, this thing is pretty awesome. It's that was disappointing. I don't have it turned on, sorry. Anyway, the idea is you have a built-in blender, and then you have you know, an area you can put a toaster in there or a loaf of bread. I always kept a coffee machine in there. You have a flat top cooktop here, and then of course I did an entire video on how awesome this Prevost toaster oven is. And you could cook full meals in here pretty easily, like any apartment kitchen. There is a full double door refrigerator here. Ooh, drinks. Full double door fridge. And I asked the new owner if he wanted me to peel all these stickers off from me touring around. He said, no, dude, leave those on. That's awesome. There's stuff here I probably don't want to put on camera, actually. Anyway, little cubby hole here. There's a little controller in there. You can check your water levels. They're never accurate. Pantry here. It's pretty neat. Up here's media controls. There's not really much in here anymore because the old days of having these satellites and things, those are gone. So that stuff's out of here. Just put an Apple TV in there. Here is the Splendide combo washer dryer unit. This thing actually works really well. It's all stainless steel. These things are real expensive. And I usually don't even bother with this thing because I just throw a Tide Pod in there. And it works really well. There's a manual for this thing. You have a drawer here for keeping soaps and things, and this one over here is like a pantry or a hamper. Washes, dries. I mean, you could wash a load of clothes and then automatically dries while you're driving down the road. Pretty awesome. Coat closet here, but you got like a Dyson vacuum, place to put some things, drawers to keep stuff in. Pretty standard stuff. I don't think I need to demonstrate the shower for you, but I will demonstrate the toilet for you. No, I'm just kidding. That's really the best thing about having your own bus, because what it really is a 40-foot long portable porta potty. I don't like to use truck stop bathrooms. You have a real porcelain toilet, nice sink, and with the COVID and all this other stuff going on, do you really want to go into somebody else's bathroom that 5,000 people went in that day? No, you don't. Now this is, I think it's called a Raritan system. It's an macerator, I think is what they call it. And they put these on ships and things. There's a button right under this counter. And I put a big thing that says flush toilet, press button under counter. It's mechanically operated. You don't have to use your foot like those other cheap RVs. This thing will grind up the poo, turn it into a nice soup. And keep in these little drawers. You got like your little porta pocket, your porta packs, whatever those are called. Got toilet paper under here. I do still use the regular camping paper, the Scott tissue paper. And that seems to work really well. We recently put this faucet in. Got this faucet at IKEA. It was just really sleek and modern. I like the way that you could move this around. It's just really nice. You got a little soap dispenser. I always put these antibacterial hand foaming soap sensors. I'll put those everywhere. And then inside here, you know, you got a medicine cabinet, you know. Now the way these hinges are on these things, I gotta warn you, you gotta always lift up to close them. I don't know what it is. It's a pain in the ass, but something you got to do. This shower head that's here with this water outlet is so you can wash the toilet. You know, when you're cleaning this thing out, that comes in kind of handy. I don't know, they just put it in here, and here it is. There's also a switch. Turns on this light and exhaust fan in the shower. And then there's this, and then that's how it is. That's how it works. Okay, it's a tight squeeze back here, but that's because you got this huge queen bed. This is one of those foam mattresses, 12-inch foam mattress. This is one of the best night's sleep you're ever going to have. Trust me. 60-inch TV right at your feet. Sound bar. I got all the remote controls for that. You also have a DVD player in here. It's a smart TV. You can just stream from your phone or your iPad to it. Hook it up to an Apple TV. The cool thing about the way the wireless HDMI router works between these two, which you can see in detail on my Videobob's RV and Bus channel, each TV can view its own sources. So you can watch from its own locally sourced DVD player, or the other DVD player, or the Apple TV in there, or from its own smart TV. A lot of different choices. Now this right here is the little doorbell thing, and I had it mounted, but you know, I just kind of set it here and put it away for when I need it, and that's where I put it. Right here by the bed, you have all these controls. You got a radio, place for your phone, an alarm clock. You can turn the lights on and off. You can operate the generator from here, the air conditioner, the heater. Tons of places for storage everywhere, obviously. Little reading lights, you know. Lots more lights. I turn these off because I don't want those in your face. Tons of drawers. And this back here is a coat rack area that you could literally sleep in. I mean, it is, you could literally lay back there and sleep somebody if you really had to. The engine's right under there, though. It gets pretty hot. Keeps your clothes dry. You'll notice you won't have any wrinkles in your clothes. This particular, there we go. Everything is double hinged, you know, it's hard to close. Anyway, that's the bedroom. Okay, what about privacy? You're in the bedroom, somebody's gonna go in the bathroom, take a poo, whatever. Well, there's these locking latches down here. And then, check this out, got a pocket door. Now, I usually close that when I'm asleep, even if I'm alone, just as an added security. Hold on just a second. There we go. Now, a lot of the modern buses have these pocket doors, but they're air operated. Guess what breaks all the time? Air operated doors. So be thankful that these are not air operated. Now, you can close that door and this one as well. And the person in the bathroom can be closed off from both the bedroom and in here. Nobody can pass through, but you wouldn't want to. This probably isn't the best angle. You're going to have to look at the back of my head. Anyway, key is over here to the far left. Now, what I've noticed about this particular rig is it needs a new ignition relay, because sometimes you'll see, like you turn it on, it doesn't click. Just try it a couple times and then it catches. You'll see all this stuff light up, and unfortunately the sun is shining right on it. I'm going to go ahead and start the bus. And over here, there's a button that says ether. Don't worry about that. I don't think it works anyway, but that's for shooting a shot of ether to get the bus started. You're not going to be using that. Here's an RPM button. That gives you a high idle RPM. Takes it from like up to like 1200. And that helps the air compressor air up faster and the engine to warm up faster, and it just likes it. So you've got your two different air tank PSIs here for your two tanks. You got your fuel gauge, your battery voltage, your speedometer with odometer. This is a pyrometer. This measures the heat coming out of your exhaust. Up above that is the turbo, your RPMs. Over here is water temperature, oil pressure, and this gauge is a little flaky. Oil temperature, and then this one is transmission oil temperature. And down below here you see the water temperature and oil pressure. Those are for your generator. Then you have a dash light gauge here, then this is cigarette lighter, which I have the the GPS plugged into. And then over here you have your backup camera, your stereo, clock. These are for speakers, front, rear, and outdoor. Down here you have your various light switches, headlight or fog lights, running lights, headlights, hazard lights, turning the horn on or off. And then this is a lock button, an air-powered lock button that locks that door over there with an air lock. And then over here you've got your right and left washers, and this is the intermediate speed. Never mind James, he's my cleanup guy. He cleans the cars. He's walking back in front of the bus while I'm trying to make a video. Anyway, camera lights, that turns on the rear spotlights. Vista lights, these are these red glowing lights you see around the bus. Coach therm, that's the temperature of the bus. So here you turn this to the left, you got air conditioning, you turn it to the right, you get heat, and then that's your temperature. This step, I don't know what step does. I think that doesn't work. And then there's a pager. This doesn't work. I don't know what that does. But you have driver floor control for air, fresh air recirculate, driver temperature, and driver fan. You know, that operates this fan that blows on you right here. Then you have, there's an inverter switch, but ignore that because that's been disconnected. And then this switch here operates your loading dock lights. And so you have these big lights on the outside that operate when you're either turning or when you're loading and things. And then over here, let me show you something cool on the passenger side. So yeah, this chair here is pretty posh. It does a lot of stuff. Now, you can't see it from the video, but over here is an electrical outlet with USBs built onto it. And there's a couple of lights here for the ceiling and wall, things like that. And then there's this switch says floor. Watch this. How about that? Yeah, because you don't want to fall down the stairs, right? So this floor extension comes out so that you can put your feet down. And there's a bunch of controls over here. I forget. There's so many controls on this seat. I forget. I think it's right here. This is a full recliner. This thing is a powered recliner. Let me see. How do I lean back? Let me see. This goes this way. There's so many controls on here. This goes up. This goes down. I forget how you lean it back. It's like, anyway, you'll figure it out. Maybe it's that one. But this goes all the way up. A person could sleep here if they wanted to. I think I have to go forward. Just gonna go for a ride in the seat today. Oh, there we go. You are styling and profiling. You got yourself a little lamp here. You can read a book. You can close this. You can hang on to this. And yeah, pretty chill. Okay, speaking of seats, this is an Isri Air seat. You'll note when I sit down on it, it activates. And then, see how it auto adjusts? Oh man, this thing is cush. When you're going down the road in this thing, it's no problem to ride this thing for 8 hours, 10 hours, because the seat is so comfortable. It's an air seat, it's all leather, nice gray leather, and nice big steering wheel. And whoops, sorry about that. But anyway, it's a real cush thing. Now over here are some basic controls. Let me show you how these work. Now I hope you can see this from your angle up there, but here is the automatic shifter, reverse, neutral, drive, fourth, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so going over this again, this is cruise control: set, resume, cancel. As a matter of fact, here, let me turn the lights on. Well, that doesn't really help in the daytime, does it? This is your leveling system. You want it pointed in the drive position when you're driving. But since we're parked, we want to level, right? So watch, I'm gonna point to that direction, the left side, and then I'm gonna say down. And you'll see this bubble level move. And we are going in that direction. We're going down. Doobie-doo-doing down. And then if we wanted to raise it up, you know, you'd go to the front and raise it up. and then you leave it in that position while you're parked. And then when you're ready to drive again, you set it to drive and it'll automatically level back out to driving position. So yeah, this is behind the seat. You lift that lever to raise the tag axle. Whenever you're making a sharp turn or something, or you need to lower the rear end, you can raise those wheels up. And that's what that's for. So just reach back there, you throw that lever. You'll get a light on the dash that shows the wheels being raised, that tells you the wheels are up. And you need to do that whenever you're making a sharp turn. Well, I think that's pretty much going to wrap up the tour. I'm not going to go into the details of the breaker panels that are behind this door and air tanks that are under here. Those are things really for qualified electricians and bus mechanics that you really don't need to be messing with. But this is where they are, and there's quite a bit of literature in that cabinet. But this bus has had some updates. You know, these are basically, I think they're Ford Bronco headlights, Bosch fog lights. There's something else that is for kind of a technician, but these two big bolts come out of the bumper folds down and a spare tire goes into a cavity under there. We've never taken this bra off, so I don't know what's under there. Anyway, I hope for you, some of you that are curious about the Prevost bus, that this answers some questions. And again, I'd like to reiterate how what a great bargain these buses are. You know, you can spend $100,000 on one of these that at one time was $750,000. If you were to buy a brand new 2020 Prevost bus, you would spend over $2 million. So if you were to spend $100,000 on a Winnebago brand or any other RV, within a couple of years it would drop in value by half. Whereas this thing actually appreciated in value in the 5 years that I've owned it. Unbelievable. And that is why you want to use depreciation as your method of enjoying great things like this. So I have this, I have Rolls-Royce, I have a lot of great other vehicles that have appreciated over time because I bought them at the bottom of their depreciation. This bus will run and drive forever. It's made of stainless steel from top to bottom. Research the Prevost bus, P-R-E-V-O-S-T. The S-T is silent. Prevost, it's a French company. A lot of great support community out there also. So you can check out my other channel, Videobob's RV and Bus channel, unless you're watching it on this channel now. Make sure to subscribe, please, if you like this kind of content. There will be more like it. And to the new owner, Brian, thank you so much for being a great customer. You know, he's bought a bunch of cars from me. And also this rig. I'm very, very sad to see it go. I literally teared up. I'm not making a joke. I thought I was going to cry, but I realized that once I make my move to Las Vegas, I'm not going to be using the bus anymore. I'm going to be stay put. And by the way, Las Vegas, Nevada. I keep saying in my videos I'm moving to Las Vegas, and people go, well, you're moving to California. You people are stupid. Learn geography. Nevada. It's in the desert. It's not in California. Anyway, moving to Las Vegas, Nevada. I won't be using the bus anymore. I bought a giant property out there. If you want to see updates on the house, go check out my other videos. Until then, oh, this is so hard. It's one of my prized possessions, man. Mm.